Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And of course, I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And my goodness, we have an action-packed show. Not only do we have an incredible panel that includes all of your favorite Primetime Gaming hosts, but we also have an amazing community member as a guest. You know him as Crispy Bomb. Hey, Crispy, listen, obviously, when you're not chainsawing other people in the community and also kicking ass and taking names in something called Gears of War 5 or Gears 5 for short, what else are you doing and what have you been playing, dude? Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's good to be here, Boom. What's up, Chad, everybody? It's been a little while. It's been a couple months since I've been on the primetime gaming stage, but it's always a great time. We've been doing a lot of fighting in MK11. I downloaded Soul Calibur. I joined the fight night. We've had a couple fight nights this past weekend after the hecticness at work. So, you know, I've been trying to enjoy everybody in the community and have some fun.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, it's all about gaming. It's all about community for most people here, or for everyone on this panel. Most of the people in this, in the almost 100 people already watching, and we're all not even a minute into the show. And I want to thank everybody for being here. That is a big deal for me. This is a very small channel, but it has an amazing, very loyal audience, and I want to thank all of you men and women that continue to support Double Barrel Gaming. But let's continue with the intros. Next up, he's a returning founding father of Primetime Gaming. You know him as someone still in search of the perfect calzone. And quite frankly, right now, because Florida is so out of control, he might have been floating on a giant piece of pizza. Please welcome the Italian Clowns.
Hey, what's up, Boom? Thanks for having me back on the panel. Love the show, man. Excited to get into topics tonight.
Well, it's glad to have you back, dude. Obviously, I'm glad that things at home are starting to, they're starting to, get more normalized, and it's great to have you back in your seat because obviously you are someone that helped me build this program, and to have you a part of it is always amazing. So thanks so much for being here. And obviously, again, we're glad that your family situation is starting to course correct. Next up, he gets embarrassed when I say it, but I'm still going to say he's our resident assassin, someone that will shoot you in the face. Please welcome Tempest Son.
Nice. Yeah, I'm here. I'm super happy to be here, man. If you guys hear some explosions in the background, I'm not doing anything nefarious. It's just Florida being Florida, and hopefully my house don't get blown up. We'll put it that way.
Well, that's exactly what an assassin would say, but we'll take you at your word. Thanks for being here, dude. And yes, of course, he is in Florida and the storms are raging. Next up, he's our resident Cape Crusader. You know him as someone that likes football and really is someone that is, I think, an up-and-coming content creator that people should keep their ears and eyes on. Please welcome Cyber Knox.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be here right after a long weekend here in the States. It's great to start the week off just talking game with, my fellow primetime gaming panel members. And can't wait to get into these topics.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And last, and in no way least, he is our resident PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X hunter, waiting to drop that hot info to the community on when we can reserve these consoles. He's also one of the community's absolute finest and a podcaster that is up to 21 shows per week. I don't know how he does it. Please welcome Gaming Forte.
A lot of Red Bull. That's how you do it. A lot of Red Bull, a lot of sleepless nights, and then on top of that, making your own content. It's pretty crazy.
It is.
It's Monday. It's been an amazing weekend, and a lot of great stuff happened over this weekend. And Monday just turned it up to 11. So let's get into it.
Well, you know what? Before we get into the topics, and quite frankly, we have a lot to cover this evening, I got to just make a couple of shout outs here. First of all, Graphic God. Now, you know him as someone that has single-handedly did every piece of artwork, intro, background, and border for Double Barrel Gaming. As a matter of fact, he surprised me today with something that I'm going to share with the community. But before I do, I have to tell you about Graphic God. Now, obviously, he is one of the hosts of Retro Renegade, something that Crispy Bomb knows a little bit about, and it's a group of guys who enjoy playing older games, cracking beers, but more importantly, having fun playing games, and that's really what it's all about. But I have to say that Jay is not only an incredible host, he's not only an incredible artist, he is someone that is community friendly and more importantly, community first. And if you're interested and you're looking to start your own YouTube channel, get a custom motion activated, icon or even a border or, for your YouTube channel or even a border for your Twitter handle, I say hit Jay up in the DM. You know him as Graphic God. He also has a little site called xboxgamerpicks.com. And of course, that is in the show notes if you're interested. So I'm just going to share the new opening. Now, obviously, I have Primetime Gaming, which is tonight. I have the Xbox Factor podcast, and I also have Breakfast with Boom on Friday mornings. But usually when I do something special, when I do something that's not part of those programs, I didn't have an intro that basically talked about Double Barrel Gaming Presents, and Jay did his magic once again. So folks, take a look and a listen to Double Barrel Gaming Presents new intro.
Lights.
Nice. Now obviously it has a bit of a 60s kind of a ring to it because I'm old. I appreciate it and I like the music score. So yes, that is, again, if you want animated intros, if you're looking for artwork that is second to none, hit up Graphic God and also reach out to him through DM or also email him at the about page for xboxgamerpicks.com. And, there's one other little shout out. I got a chance to talk with someone that reached out to Double Barrel Gaming through email. And he was interested to not only be, to work on the podcast, but he was interested in being a guest on one of the shows. His name is VJ. I know you're listening, VJ. We got a chance to talk for about an hour today. And he is a very nice fellow, a chap from originally London, currently living in the West Coast, and he will be a guest next week on Primetime Gaming. He has 25 years of gaming experience, and some at retail, but also some at the development level. So we're going to be interested to hear what he has to say on next week's topic. So VJ, great talking with you, dude, and looking forward to having you on next week's Prime Time Gaming. Now, we're going to get into the topics, and obviously, the news of all news hit this morning, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, when Xbox confirmed that July 23rd will, in fact, be the day that they have their first party showcase. We've all heard rumors and behind the scenes, thoughts. As a matter of fact, big shout out to Randall Thor 19, good friend of the show. He actually called this a couple of weeks ago, and he actually specifically said Thursday, July 23rd. So Randall Thor, you got it right again. And you know what? It's exciting because it's confirmation. It's exciting because you're hearing the Xbox the brass talk about it. You're hearing, Aaron Greenberg get out there and said, we can't wait to show you what we got. Microsoft, the head honcho, him as Phil Dominus Maximus, soon to be Aurelius Spencer, has been talking about it. And now we have the official date. And as exciting as that is, that's actually not the crux of this opening topic. As a matter of fact, it's one of disappointment. It's one of disgust. Now, normally, you know me, I'm happy-go-lucky, right? My glass is always half full, and I don't have really a bad thing to say about anybody, because quite frankly, it's just not worth it. Sometimes it's best not to say anything and just keep it moving. But if I didn't talk about this, not only would I hate myself, I would feel that I let this community down, because I do have a small bit of a voice. Now, obviously, there has been a lot of speculation to this event, and the event was officially put out there by Xbox. We have the confirmation, it's locked in. We're all excited. The community, the Xbox community, but more so the gaming community is excited because Sony had their show last month. We watched it. We reviewed it. I gave it a B+. I enjoyed it. I talked about it in a positive manner. And I think a lot of people enjoyed what they had. Now, maybe it wasn't for everyone. I hear you, but I enjoyed it. Well, when you talk about the gaming journalistic community, for me personally, I'm normally disappointed. I used to be someone that was subscribed to all of these sites, the IGNs, Gamertag Radio, which, by the way, I still listen to. Game Informer, another place I still listen to, and you know, Giant Bomb, and all, just name it. The GameSpot, Kotaku, you name it, I would be there listening to their podcasts, reading their articles. And then I fell out of love with the gaming media because, quite frankly, they turned. And a very younger generation of writers, or AKA journalists, or so-called journalists, came into the scene. And you know, obviously, I hold myself personally when I do these shows to a very, very high standard. And, you know, I was talking about this with the guys before we went live. Like, for instance, I'm getting really personal here. As someone that has almost 5,000 subs, as someone that has over 5,000 followers on Twitter, it would be embarrassing and shameful if I did something out of character, if I spoke out of turn, because quite frankly, I would be letting down the community that supports me. And I would never do that because why? I hold myself to a very high standard, a pedestal that's sometimes very high to climb up to, but I push myself to be that good because of the support that is shown to me. Well, earlier today, a journalist who writes for Eurogamer by the name of Tom Phillips. This Tom Phillips right here, right? You see it up on the screen. He is a news editor for Eurogamer.net and someone that has press credentials. He's considered a journalist. He should have some sort of journalistic integrity. Now, granted, I want this to be out there. Everyone is entitled to their opinions. But with that said, someone of his stature, someone in his position has a responsibility to the readers to be fair. So why am I bringing up Tom Phillips? Now, obviously, I just want people to know right off the bat, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to curse out the guy. He's entitled to his opinion. But I, as a content creator, am going to bring this into the conversation because I thought it was unprofessional. So this is what he tweets. This is one of his first tweets. And he says this. Looking forward to Xbox, right? One sentence about Xbox. Not that he's looking forward, not excited. I'm hyped, not hashtag hype. He says, and a reminder, just because we all forgot, PlayStation plans to fire back in state of play soon after. Now, my question, and I'm going to show you my response to good old Tom here. Here was his second tweet, because obviously the simpletons that we are as a community, we don't understand what he's talking about, right? So he says Sony has first and third party stuff still to announce, feels like it has quite smartly held some stuff back. So let me bring up my response. As a matter of fact, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to read it to you live on here because I got it right here. This is my direct response to Tom. And it says this on Twitter. And you go to my Twitter, you can, give it a favorite, give it a retweet, or give me the finger. Either or, that's fine. I hear you. He says, I said this to Tom. And let me just bring it up for this was he obviously, when I said in the beginning, he was getting some slack from people. He says, apparently informing people of current event plans for both Xbox and PlayStation today makes me a fanboy. Okay, so here was my response. It's how you said it, Tom. It clearly paints a pro-Sony picture, and considering who you write for, it's a tad one-sided and should be beneath you. Why mention Sony at all? They already had a great show. Why not allow for the Xbox and its community to relish in the excitement? Now, I think what I said to him is not only politically correct, but extremely fair. So I want to bring my amazing panel, but I'm going to start off with my guest. And Crispy Bomb, obviously, you're a guest here, but you are a brethren on Breakfast with Boom, and you're there because your opinion matters, and you're here because you are, always have your the pulse of the community at the tips of your finger because you are a community-based guy. So my question to you, quite simply, is this: do you think it's, I don't want to say unethical, all right, because he's not committing a crime or anything, but do you think that it should be beneath him to make tweets like that, clearly calling out Sony as the better brand?
It's really just something that I just have seen kind of go away a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's back. You know what I mean? Like these journalists, all of a sudden, your true passion comes out. And you know what? If you play your PlayStation more than your Xbox, that's perfectly fine. But you are a journalist. You get paid to inform people, and just to kind of be like, oh, yay, Xbox. And then, okay, Sony's doing this, this, and this. All right, well, we all know that, but they haven't given us a date. We just got the date about Xbox. Why in God's name are you even bringing up Sony right now? I mean, there's really no point. You're waiting to see. They're waiting to see what Xbox does and what shows. That's their whole plan. Now, maybe right before the event, we might get a hard-on, date, but we're hearing what, August, I think, something like that. But that's because Xboxes, have just announced their date. So maybe Sony tomorrow will be like August 8th. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then you can be like, hey, Sony, and most of us would be like, yeah, makes total sense, this and that. And, but Xbox is going to do this. You know what I mean? Like, it just randomly like feels like he's just like, yeah, great, but I like Sony better. And it's like, come on, man. Like, you get paid for this. Like, you work for Eurogamer. Eurogamer, you got a full-on breakdown. You got to display the Series X. You know what I'm saying? You should be hyped up for this. And I just don't feel it. And I feel like I can't look to him for anything news for Xbox. I'd rather go to somebody else at this point. And that's pretty sad. I mean, you're a journalist. You should want people that are excited for Xbox to say, look to your tweet and be like, oh, wow. But instead you feel like, okay, you just basically were like, okay, buy Xbox. It's all about Sony now. Like, come on. It's unfair. It's not right. And, maybe it's going to all come back full circle, and we're going to be back to where, they're going, Sony does everything right. Xbox does everything wrong. I mean, who knows? I just hope Xbox just proves to us in July, which I'm like, the end of July. It's like, we've been waiting so long. Come on. But at the same time, I'm really hyped because I think they've changed a lot. And I think that's the reason why I went to the end of July, which makes me, more excited because I think they took, the mess up in May, as I like to call it now, and they're gonna make it right for us. And I mean, as long as we get 3 really good surprises, 3 IPs that are either extremely old or brand new, that are gonna get revamped, that I will be super excited. And then get a full-on breakdown of how our services are going to look, in the future and everything else. I do want to know, like, I know people are like, oh, Game Pass fodder. I want to know what's coming into Game Pass, but I don't want, to be oversaturated. And that's the point of, your first party anyway. So it's going to come to Game Pass. So I don't think you kind of, people are like, Game Pass, first party, same thing. Hello. So I'm excited. Can't wait. But I mean, it's just, he can't stop flying that Sony flag for a minute. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. I again, maybe I hold myself as a content creator, to a higher standard. And I think that someone with credentials like working for Eurogamer would have the same integrity. But obviously.
Hey.
Yes.
Boom. Real quick, just to what you're saying there, just because I had to bring it up. This Face 23 BKNY says, Mr. Boomstick, you sound hypocritical. Just read your title for this podcast. Boom does not work for a publication. He does not work for a Eurogamer. He does not work for a GameSpot, an IGN, whatever it is. He doesn't get paid to give an unbiased opinion. That's what this gentleman is getting paid to do. This what's his name? I missed it.
Tom
Phillips, was it?
Yeah, Tom Phillips.
But he gets paid.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah,
No, it just bugs me because that's just two.
No,
totally
it's
different
okay,
things, you know?
and I'll respond directly to because he's someone that not only drops super chats on a regular basis, but he's here on a weekly basis, and you use the word hypocrite or hypocritical, and my answer to you, or my rebuttal to your statement is there's no hypocrisy here. It's a question that I'm asking the community in my title. It's a question that is going to be posed to everyone on this panel. And I have bullet points. I did the research. I worked 6 hours on this particular show, and it only has 4 topics, which means that I spent a significant amount of time on the first topic that we're going to talk about after this, that I actually did the research, and you'll hear about it. So again, you're entitled to your opinion, and I appreciate your support. But before you go accusing someone of being a hypocrite, Tempest Sun has it right. I'm a content creator with under 5,000 subs. Eurogamer is a professional website with professional journalists, or apparently supposed professional journalists, that make these tweets and are writing and actually have credentials that they could walk into an event that I can't get into because I'm just a YouTuber. So there's a tremendous difference. But with that said, I don't think having a title that asks a question, does Microsoft have and what, you don't agree that Microsoft has a stacked deck? You don't think that they could potentially win next generation? That's not a question that you're not willing to answer or ask? Well, I mean, listen, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it's being hypocritical when you're asking a question. When you're making a statement and you work for someone like Eurogamer, I think we're talking apples and oranges, but you know what? That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. As a matter of fact, let's bring Tempest Sun back into the conversation. But before I do Tempest Sun, let me thank Regulator 951. Here comes the booming panel, hype for the show. Well, thank you so much, dude. And Viper XT drops a very generous $5 super chat that just came in. He says, do you think that Microsoft picked a later July date in hopes of completing the WB Games division acquisition in time for it? And we were talking about that pre-game, and you know what, dude? That is a fantastic question that only time is going to tell. It would be something else for Phil Spencer to get up there and announce that they added all of these studios, more specifically NetherRealm Studios and Rocksteady, to their first party, Xbox game studios. That would be, I mean, they're saying it's going to be a night of mic drops, so I don't know. But Black Eye Dog, hey, he's here. Thank you for hanging out. But he shows his generosity with an outstanding $10 super sticker. So thank you so much for being here. But more importantly, thank you for your generosity. But Tempest Sun, listen, I know that I know that got you a little steamed, and you know what? I appreciate the Earth Defense Force, but you know what? Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and unfortunately, listen, it is what it is. You can call me hypocritical if you want. My title is asking a question. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking a question. It's certainly better than making a statement like that, but whatever. When you hear someone from the media who has, in my opinion, become very young, very bullish, very irresponsible, and very one-sided, are you disappointed like me, or do you feel that this is just, another shot at Xbox for we have no idea why?
No, it is getting frustrating. Very frustrating. You can't really look. There's some bright spots in all of these publications and these media outlets. There's some personalities I like on quite a few of them. I don't agree with everything they say. I don't agree with everything Boom says. I'm probably more of a quote unquote. Actually, I'm not more of an Xbox guy, but sometimes I just don't agree with Boom. But that doesn't mean I gotta, I don't know, poke the bear, if you know what I mean. I don't see what this accomplishes, to be honest with you. It seemed kind of like desperate, but desperate for what? Like, what's the point of it? I mean, so what if Microsoft has an awesome show? So what if Sony has an awesome show? If he was smart in the industry he's in, he should be rooting for Xbox. Why? Because it's competition.
Yes.
Sony, it's going to force Sony to do better. If Sony steps up their game and has a fantastic show, guess who that puts pressure on? Xbox,
Yes.
Nintendo, all of them.
Yes.
Competition is great for the industry. If anybody in this industry, a journalist or developer, whatever it is, you should not want the other side to fail. You should want to win, but you should not want the other side to fail. The better all of these companies do, is just a healthier industry, period. I know this is going to sound like it's way off topic, but you can relate this to how Game Pass, and Phil says, Game Pass, it just leads to more gaming, more sales, more everything. So on that platform, it's just, rising tide raises all ships. I don't know if I said that right, but that's the point.
No,
So
yeah, I believe it is.
So it's just, it's not helpful, and it makes you seem kind of like weak. I mean, I read this now. I chuckled. I was like, really? I'm like, oh, state of play. Ooh. I was like, wow. I don't know. It's frustrating, man. They all do it, all of these publications. And, that's not their job. It's really not their job. Sometimes, making their opinion known is part of the job. But for the most part, a journalist should just report the news and pretty much keep their mouth shut. Just do your job and report. This isn't a report on anything. He didn't release any dates. There's no staggering stats here. There's no even real speculation. It's just, we'll fire back, state of play soon after. It's like, who didn't know that? Anybody that follows this industry at all knew that. So I don't know. It's not even like good reporting. I don't know. It is frustrating. I just think things are different now. And, honestly, it's just social media. I mean, it's been different for years. And just thank goodness that I found this community. Started like a couple years ago. I started listening to podcasts from YouTubers and stuff like that. And, boom, this is your show, your time and investment, probably money, just everything you can think of goes into this, but it is your show. You're not being employed by anybody to give an unbiased opinion and just report the news. If you want to say in the title of your video, it has Xbox One, the next generation, based off if they have a great show this July, that's your right, man. So nobody should give you any crap for that. That's just how I feel. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's.
You know what, dude? First of all, I super appreciate it, and what you're saying is true. But you know what? Someone I had asked in the chat, Crown Clown says, you forgot the question mark, or you meant it as a statement. Now, look, folks. I just looked. He's right. I left out the question mark, but it's asking a question. Has Microsoft won the next generation? I mean, listen. I'm not a college professor. I do make errors. I apologize for leaving out the question mark, but I also understand, maybe because I'm going to be 50, that I understand what a question is when it's read out and it's sounded out what it's asking. I don't know. Maybe people need more visuals. That's fine. The question mark has been added, but you know what? Let's bring in Gaming Forte. Now, Gaming Forte, look.
Yeah,
we are professionals, right? To a certain extent, but we're not journalists,
right?
We don't have journalistic, cards. Get into the. I wouldn't say get out of jail free card. I actually have a get out of jail free card, but no, I don't. I'm just kidding. But we do have integrity. At least I'm coming to you next on this, because I think that not only do you have massive amounts of integrity, but because you're on so many shows, you constantly show how you talk about the industry from a proper perspective, and that's me being a fan of you. When you see something like this is coming from someone that writes for a prestigious. Oh, by the way, this isn't G4 UpUranus.com. This is Eurogamer he writes for. So it's I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm making too big of a deal of this. I'm interested to know what your opinion on this. Why can't and bear with me here, Gaming Forte. Whenever Sony does something, anyone near over 400 people watching here, I'm the first one to give Sony a pat on the ass. I talk about their stuff all the time. In fact, I talk about all systems all the time. When there's something, very rarely do you see me say anything negative about Sony. Even during the Neil Druckmann drama, I still found a way to say something nice about the guy. Now, people may disagree with me. That's fine. But that was my opinion. I don't go out of my way for drama. But when you see this, my question to you is, obviously, are you disappointed with some of the journalistic community? But more importantly, why is it that Xbox can never have their day in the sun no matter what? Because I know I'm not making this up.
All right. So a lot of stuff to unpack during this one, because I saw your tweet and I saw the back and forth, and I was like, yeah, this is real interesting. But I'm going to answer one thing that I believe Tip has said earlier, or it might have been Cyber that said earlier, is what was the purpose? This is the purpose. Exactly what we're doing right now. Exactly. Yeah,
no, you're right. You're right.
Exactly with 58 comments and 135 retweets with 505 likes. That was the purpose, you know. Yes, he works for Prestigious Magazine, and yes, you are supposedly looked at in a light that most people supposed to like view as unbiased, but you still have your opinions, and that's why when if you look at it from like just the surface, yeah, you could be disappointed, because it's like, you know, you go to these websites to get like this unbiased opinion, which I honestly believe have never existed. It's never been a thing. And that's why I never put any stock in what people say when it comes from one system to another. You know, it really just comes down to find the people that cover the stuff that you enjoy yourself and listen to those people, but take everything that all of these big name media people take with a grain of salt, because literally everybody's a fan of something. I am a fan of PlayStation, but I'm more of a fan of Xbox. But you don't see me coming up here just making it just like Xbox all day. That's all it is. You know, I don't care where I play at, as long as my friends are there and I have the games I want to play. That's all I truly care about. And for the last 20 years, that's been what Xbox has been for me, and that's why I gravitate to that system more than anything. But that's my personal bias. Now, we can hold people accountable like Tom Phillips that has a personal bias, and it's fine, but I think we put too much energy in trying to have a conversation about something that really truly doesn't matter, because he doesn't matter.
Yeah,
literally,
no, I see your point.
Literally doesn't matter, because, and maybe this is just my point of being a sales rep and being a store manager, and I deal with a-holes all the time that have this entitled opinion about every little thing, and it's like you feel like you can bend over backwards and give people the moon and the sun, and it still isn't enough for them. And then when you give people the perfect analogy to everything that they want to know about something, and they still say, "Oh, you're wrong." How are you going to tell me I'm wrong when I'm the person? You know, you came to me. I didn't go to you.
Right.
So I kind of just like thickened up over the course of years about just seeing stuff like this. So when I saw it, I laughed. At first I laughed because it was funny. I was like, wow, what a way to start today. I was like, you know, because you really, now if I had to just go into my deep gamer side of it, it made absolutely no sense. It was no reason to come out and say, include Sony into something that had nothing to do with Sony. You know, you could have easily said, yo, man, really excited for what Xbox is showing. Can't wait to see what happens on June 23rd. And then if you wanted to wait till the next day, you could have came out with something second and say, hey, guess what? Xbox may be having their event coming out, but guess what? Sony's right around the corner. So everybody keep their eyes out on that. I mean, it's like whenever Xbox does something profound or something that can like literally trend on Twitter, the people that have the agenda or have the power to have an agenda want to kind of quell that excitement and dump on those people. And that's the thing I don't kind of agree with, because I think people should be excited for the things that they want to. But if you got people like Tom Ford in this situation, and he says that, well, I guess giving information is being a fanboy. No, I don't think giving information is a fanboy. I just think giving information in the light that you gave it, on the subject that you gave it, that had nothing to do with the other entity that you're talking about, is where you were throwing darts in a dark room and hoping you hit something, and you kind of hit a couple people.
I love it.
And you literally
That's a really good point.
And you literally just got the attention of about 500 people that just wanted to have a conversation with you, and then you could throw out this random tweet and say, "Oh, I guess giving information is me being a fanboy." Then he says hashtag, such and such Dreamcast is the best system. So I'm sitting there like, okay, so you got your little laugh off of this at the expense of some people, and that's fine, but you're still kind of a dick for doing it because you knew what was going to happen. And that's I always tell people, when you tweet something or you comment on something that has nothing to do with the conversation that we're having, you're doing it for a purpose. So if you see that type of stuff, just either ignore it, or like I do with J-Dub, because me and J-Dub go back and forth all the time about PlayStation and Sony stuff, and he gets on me all the time. I literally tell J-Dub, if I think it's going to be something that me and him are going to go like face to face with, I'll literally say, J-Dub, I can't wait for your tweet, man, so I can see exactly all the slaves you got out there that's going to try to jump down my throat. Because it's funny to me. It's all entertainment. That's all this is. But he should have a little bit more thought processes. Give it a day. Let the people of Xbox, hashtag Xbox month, let those people have today, because today is the day that a lot of people have been looking forward to. It's not just any event, it's Microsoft's first party event. We get it, and then on top of all the other stuff that happened today, I just don't think Sony should be a part of that conversation unless Sony wants to be a part of it themselves by announcing something themselves. But that's how I feel about it. It's all fun and games, but he was in the wrong for doing it in the way that he did it.
It's funny. I clowns, let me bring you into this conversation. But before I do, let me just catch up on some of these super chats. Because first of all, if I don't catch them, I'm going to miss them. And when I miss them, I'm very disappointed in myself. Hot Grizz 910 drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says this: "Boom, I love your shows." Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate the support. But if you listen to most of the video game press, they don't refer to themselves as journalists, just enthusiasts. Now, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never heard of that. I'm going to be honest. I've never heard anyone say I'm an enthusiast, not a journalist. But when you say press, the gaming press equals journalist. Now, maybe I'm giving too much credit to people, but that's just my mindset. But I've never heard of them calling themselves enthusiasts. I think if someone is going to use such a term, it's the content creation community on YouTube. We're enthusiasts because we are taking a hobby and trying to make a business out of it. So we're enthusiastic about what we're trying to do. But listen, I definitely appreciate super chat, and that's actually food for thought. And I will definitely keep that in my back pocket to see if I hear anyone say that. Sir X-Men is here. Thank you for being here. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, "Forte, when can I get the new Atari?" Because I'm going to probably buy that too. And Bounty Boom is here. Welcome to the show, my brother, and thank you for your outstanding $10 super chat. And he says this: "Here comes the boom. Speak your mind, Boom. Sony fans will always lose when it comes to services because they don't give Sony their true feelings, and that's why I'm not on social media." Well, listen, dude, thank you for your super chat, and I definitely appreciate the opinion. Viper XT drops an additional $5 super chat and says this: "Some of the media journalists tend to favor one brand over the other instead of being unbiased, just to gain likes and followers and get attention." And that's very true. Bounty Boom, holy cow, dude, he drops another $5 super chat. Thank you for your outstanding generosity. He said, "And Sony will never get my money again because they charge me twice for a game and I still haven't got my refund yet. It's been 6 months." Yeah, my brother had a big problem with them. As a matter of fact, they locked his account when he tried to cancel a game. And I think they actually got in big trouble, especially in Europe, for that. They got found guilty of doing that. But you know what? Clowns, look, I want to bring you into the conversation because you are someone that has been following and producing content in this industry for many, many years. You have four guys with quarters, and I was going to say 4 clowns with quarters. It's actually 4 guys with quarters. And you have seen and you have been privy to meeting many of the media before. What I find to be slightly interesting is that you have someone from a professional gaming site, pushing up Sony when, like Forte was saying, has no business in the conversation. My question to you is why? And two, did we see anyone from the journalistic community pushing Xbox or throwing Xbox in Sony fans' face when they had their great show? I didn't see that. I don't recall seeing anything like that whatsoever. You didn't see people saying, yeah, you just wait for July, Sony. We're going to fix your ass. You didn't see any of that. At least I didn't. What are your thoughts on this, clowns?
Yeah, I hate to say this, but there's definitely a bias in the media. And I think it really shows, especially this generation. I think a lot of these journalists grew up favoring PlayStation. I don't know for what reason, but I do believe that they always push up Sony. They love Sony. Sony can never do any wrong. But the minute that Microsoft says something that's a mistake, they're all over it. They're all quoting it. They're all rushing down Microsoft's throat to say how bad Microsoft is at marketing, this and that. It's just ridiculous. And the only guy that I feel that's a journalist that's unbiased at this point in time is Ryan McCaffrey from IGN. And I say that because he doesn't really criticize either one. He's equal to both of them, even though he prefers Xbox. He's truly neutral, and I believe unbiased compared to all these other guys that are out there. And then we even seen some things recently where, that old Naughty Dog rumor and what's her name? Amy Hennon and stuff it was all covered up by the top guys at IGN, and then they threw the writer under the bus after they told him to write the rumor story. So yeah, there's bias, and it's really unfair to Microsoft, and it's always going to be that way, I think, until we get a whole new generation of journalists, game and media journalists out there. I've met some of these guys before, and in person, they seem nice guys. To be honest with you, they seem like nice guys, but I could never do something like that to myself if I was a big journalist. I can never throw my ethical, moral value out the window like this, like what they're doing.
Well, I mean, listen, obviously, at the end of the day, I'm not a boob. I understand that this is a business. I understand that they want to get traffic through their site because even though Eurogamer is massive, I mean, they have millions and millions of followers, millions of fans, especially on their YouTube channel. Listen, you got to call a spade a spade. When it comes to a technical analysis, no one does it better. But we're just talking about the actual gaming paper, if you will, talking about about Eurogamer. It is a bit perplexing that each like they're not held accountable for their social media presence, but that's fine. Cybernox, let's bring you into this conversation before we close out the subtopic that was really only supposed to go about 15-20 minutes, and here we are 42 minutes into the show. We're talking about it, and that's fine because I thought it was worthy, man. Yeah, well, I thought it was worthy of a conversation. I'm interested to know what you have to think, because you obviously are not so much a professional journalist, but you have a professional opinion. And if you were to make a statement like this against, let's say, another product that your company was representative, you would obviously be in big trouble. Were you disappointed with this tweet? Or several tweets, but more importantly, does this give you more of a reason to not trust big gaming media?
Well, we've been seeing more and more often, right, that all these journalists and everyone else everything has now become an opinion piece now. It is a little bit disappointing whenever Xbox does anything. It doesn't get the credit it deserves, and I believe. Especially on something like this. I thought it was a little bit unprofessional. I understand in today's day and age, you're looking for clicks, you're looking for engagement, you want that traffic, and kind of like Forte and I believe Tempest mentioned as well. He did exactly what he intended to do. Stirs the pot a little bit, so it gets the community engaged, and the back and forth is what they want. The clicks, the likes, the retweets, everything like that. It's unfortunate, man. You hear it in podcasts nowadays. You hear it you see it. You can read it in columns. And anytime there's a topic that has nothing to do with Xbox gets dragged in most of the time. I don't understand it. It could be something completely out of left field that only has to do with, you know, the any other platform. It gets turned around to Xbox because for some reasoning, the dislike and I don't know if it's hate, but whenever you mention the word Xbox and you say something negative to it, it just draws a lot of attention. It's unfortunate because they've been doing a lot. They've been doing tremendously well, you know, for years now. So yeah, it's a little bit unfair. And we kind of like Tempest mentioned too, these guys that get paid to have an unbiased opinion and actually inform the consumers. That's what they're here for. Inform the consumers with the facts and all the right knowledge, that so the consumer feels like, okay, I know exactly what's going on. There was no need to throw PlayStation. There was no need. It's an Xbox event going on in July. You mentioned it as well, Boom. When PlayStation had their event, there was no mention of Xbox. Everybody was just talking how you know how good the showcase was, their event was. There was no need for Xbox. And then eventually people are like, oh, Xbox is gonna have to, you know, do something great, but at least give it a few days, you know, let people enjoy their time and then go on to the next one. But yeah, man, it's hard to see, but unfortunately we've been seeing a lot more of these kinds of tactics lately in the media.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's a shame because this industry is moving into a position where all the consoles are going to be competitive. All the consoles are going to have incredible first-party games. And like me, if you support multiple consoles like I do, you win as a gamer because you don't have to hang your hat on Team Xbox, Team Nintendo, or Team Sony. You could logistically say, whoever has the best game out month A, I'm going to be playing. Just like I put 35 plus hours into The Last of Us 2. I got the collector's edition pre-ordered for Ghost of Tsushima, which comes out on the 17th. I've been playing Iron Man VR all day, which, by the way, is effing awesome. I don't care what the reviews say. I'm playing as Iron Man, folks. I'm flying around as Iron Man. All I need is my underoos, and I'm good. And if you're as old as me, you know what underoos are. Those are the you know, the sleepwear for kids back in the days. But anyway, let's move on to one of the major topics. One of which that I was, there's someone in the chat and admitted or said that I was being a hypocrite about. But we're going to be talking some Xbox. But before I do, let's get some of these super chats. First of all, Goose 8402 drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says, "Boom, great show. Much respect to you and your panel. 20 years of Xbox loyalty will pay off. We could never have imagined the 23rd will be fire." Oh, yes, the 23rd is going to be something special. Bounty Boom, my God, my friend, he drops another super chat for $2. Thank you for your generosity. And he says, "Sing it, Boom, money, money, money." And Black Eye Dog, a good friend, a very generous friend of the show, drops another $5 super chat and says he posted just to get a reaction. This podcast is too classy to waste time on him. And you know what? I agree. I don't want to say that I'm, like ultimately classy or anything. I don't, but I do appreciate the compliment. And yes, we are in fact moving on. Look, the Xbox community has been treated to a new and bolder Xbox thanks to the 2019 reveal of the Xbox Series X at the Game Awards, right alongside Hellblade 2. Now, since then, in my opinion, folks, they have stolen console mindshare when discussing the next generation. And the hype train has been running like a well-oiled machine. Again, folks, in my opinion. Now, some think that Team Xbox hit a snag on May 7th, because of the words gameplay, though I would wholeheartedly disagree. I thought it was a great show, but that's fine. Now, when considering what Phil has done since being promoted to Satya Nadala's right-hand man in 2017, one could suggest that the deck is stacked against the current market leader. Now, on tonight's new episode of Primetime Gaming, I thought it would be remarkably interesting to break down exactly what Xbox is bringing to the community this fall. Now, I wrote out some bullet points to list what Microsoft will be offering its current and potentially new customers come this holiday. And after this conversation, you will understand why the Xbox community and their millions of fans are excited. Now, here are the bullet points. I'm going to break it down, and then we're going to go into the discussion roundtable with, of course, tonight's panel. And as we cross 500 plus people watching, which is amazing, get ready to hear some positive Xbox talk. Right now, they have the most powerful console in the Xbox Series X. They have the most affordable console with the rumored Xbox Series S that's going to be debuting this August. Now, considering the current world economic situation that the entire world is in, Microsoft has Xbox All Access. It's as pro-consumer as it gets. It's something that Sony is not offering their fan base. They have currently confirmed variable rate shading VRS, DirectX 12 Ultimate, hardware-based ray tracing, velocity architecture, and an expandable 1 terabyte expansion port in the rear of the Series X. Game Pass Ultimate, it includes Xbox Live, 200 plus games in Xbox Game Pass, and Project xCloud interface. They have Project xCloud receiving Xbox Series X installation into the server racks come 2021, which is just next year. 15 first-party game studios with at least 3 to 5, and of course, if you watch Clobreel, 9 more potentially being announced in 20 or 2021. 4,000 plus Xbox Legacy, Xbox 360 and Xbox One games playable through fully supported backwards compatibility that's going to offer free upgrades to all of their older backward compatible games. As a matter of fact, something like Fusion Frenzy is going to have ray tracing, folks. Fusion Frenzy came out in 2001, and it's going to have ray tracing. Folks, that's a big deal. And of course, smart delivery system. This is only on Xbox Series X and S. Now, granted, Sony's PlayStation 5 is going to be getting some free upgrades in the form of the Avengers, which confirmed, as well as Cyberpunk, but they don't have the smart delivery system that Microsoft has been boasting for quite some time. Now, I'm sure that I missed something according to this list, and that's why I'm going to go to my Avengers, who is known as today's panel. And Crispy Bomb, look, the question that I posed before being called a hypocrite, oh, by the way, it says quite simply this, and it asks a question. Xbox Series X has a stacked deck versus PlayStation 5. Have they already won next generation? Let me just add this question mark for the people that want to make sure that I get it right. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, when you break down the bullet points versus what Sony has shown, we know a lot about the Xbox Series X. We know some things about the PS5, but is the deck stacked?
Our current world situation at this point has really put Xbox in a even better position, because as the wallet gets tighter, your money gets smarter, as I like to say.
Mm-hmm.
And, having all of these services and, just like Netflix, for example, it had to break down barriers to become what it is. Now, does it really make a lot of money? No, but they're still trying to build a huge following and a ton of subscribers. And that's the point of what Xbox is doing right now. Is it truly like this huge amount of money they're making? Like, they're probably taking a loss, but thanks to the company and its size and the foresight and ability of Phil Spencer to see, how being actually pro-consumer or pro-gamer can actually make a difference in how the outlook of the entire company could be, has really put the entire company behind Xbox and giving us, and keep in mind, I've been gaming since the NES. Okay. This is the best value I've ever had in gaming just with Game Pass alone in my entire life. Okay. I literally can just download a game and we could be like, oh, we're going to play this tonight. And, you know, we could have a community game night revolved around whatever's on Game Pass because everybody's got it.
Mhm.
It's really, it's a spectacular time to be a gamer. And the reason why Xbox people are so excited is because we feel like we're important. We feel like we're being heard. We feel like that, you know, everything that this box represents is all the hardship that we came through. And you know, I see PlayStation kind of doing their thing, but it seems like they're not ready to adapt yet. And that's where Xbox could end up winning the generation is by being so pro consumer and you know, getting your first parties day and day and having all access and be able to buy the console and a monthly thing with all the services involved and you know, boasting their first party lineup, making it better than it ever has been. These things all take time, but you know, if I always go back, Phil Dominus, if he didn't take over, I think Xbox would have been dead.
Yes,
and it's the sad truth of the matter. The 2013 launch nearly killed the brand, and that would have killed my beloved Gears and many people's beloved Halo. I'm starting to get into Halo, which I'm, and you know, but that's besides. Gears is my one love for Xbox, and it makes everything else come together. But the services, I mean, I have friends that have played on PlayStation for years, and as they've improved the services, you know, they come over and they play Xbox and they're like, man, this is so much easier. Or, you know, I played on 360 way back and I didn't realize how much easier it is. You know, how many times PlayStation goes down or something like that. I mean, these are all things that we don't experience a lot, but I mean, I always have a problem when people are like, oh, Xbox, you know, said that they're down for an hour. Well, at least they know about it. At least they give you some knowledge like, hey, we're working on it. Like, I'd rather know than just be like, hey, over here. Hello. Or do you see me? Like, it's just, I don't understand how some people could deal with that. I hear it through, you know, articles and stuff that something would happen with Sony. I'm like, why can't Sony just do it Xbox? I'd be like, hey, we're working on our services. Or, hey, there's something, you know, the product's going down. Like, I don't know. People give Xbox a lot of flack. That's fine. But I see a bright future. And unfortunately, with these times and the way gaming has just kind of even went higher and higher because people don't have a whole lot better to do or are afraid to go outside their house, this becomes a big deal. That, you know, all these services now really paint the picture of the way the company's going. And I'm sure we're going to see Sony start edging towards there. But I mean, we all look at Nintendo. We see Nintendo, how their online services still aren't the par.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Awful, dude.
You know, it's a lot of money that you have to spend. And that's the one thing Microsoft has: a lot of money, a lot of, you know, hands in different cookie jars. These are all things that make me happy that I feel the brand is back. I feel I'm going to get a new experience when the Series X launches. And, you know, I might have to use that all access because, you know, with my poor cat, I had to spend a lot of money, and I might have to, you know, do it a different way this time, which I'm grateful that I have the option.
You know, it's well. First of all, I'm sorry to hear about the cat, because obviously that, you know, pets are a part of your family, even if they're small. Right. So obviously we all care about our pets. You know, I want to bring Cybernox into the conversation because I want you to piggyback off of what Crispy Bomb just said. Now, look, when you look at the box itself, right? We know what Microsoft has packed into this box. What was a surprise to me is when you start talking about the Series S. Everyone, and I mean everyone, thought it was going to be the little brother Jimmy that no one gave a flying shit about, right? Oh, no one cares about Jimmy. Just punch him, lock him in the closet. No one cares about Jimmy. Turns out, based on different people within the industry talking, that the CPU is actually better in the little brother than the PlayStation 5. As a matter of fact, more confirmation comes the way of it has the same SSD. It's going to have the same velocity, engine running. It's going to have the same CPU. It's going to have a downclocked GPU. Obviously, you're not going to get 4K 60 on the little box, but you could potentially have your games running at 1080p 60, 1440p 60 potentially, right? We don't know until Microsoft actually shows off the box. We don't know, but that's not as impressive as the tech is. It's the human side of Microsoft that has me excited, and as the standout in this bullet point list, something that Sony has never talked about and probably is not even considering, but it's the Xbox All Access program. They are telling you, if you want a game on your current Xbox, don't worry about it. We'll be here when you want to upgrade. But if you want to upgrade and you can't afford to spend $500-$600 based on the economic world crisis that we're dealing with, we're going to take care of you. You can pay this amount and you're going to get everything. One-stop shopping for you. What does that say to you? I mean, when you start hearing, obviously there's a lot of bullet points here, but I want you to kind of really harp on that. Is that, for you anyway, is that a major, step in the right direction to a stacked deck?
I think so. I think Xbox and Microsoft have demonstrated numerous times that they've turned the ship around, kind of like Crispy has mentioned before, since 2013. 2013 was pretty awful for the Xbox brand, and what they've been able to do ever since is it's amazing. They've become such a pro-consumer company, and like I mentioned before, I don't think they got the credit that they deserve. The All Access program, Xbox Game Pass, game sharing. I know you can do that on other platforms as well, but being able to play on PC and Xbox, and it's just amazing, man. What they've been, we've been getting little by little. We've been spoiled by Xbox. I don't think we just know it. We just don't know how good we have it. I think the All Access program is a good program, especially for someone who's, especially in today's day and age with everything that's going on, for maybe they can't afford or they don't want to take the risk, but maybe they can pay X amount month by month. Why not, man? The Xbox Series X, the S, like I said, frame rates, I think that's what's going to be the showpiece for next gen, because we've already seen good graphics. Look at Horizon Zero Dawn, look at Gears 5, most recently The Last of Us. Like, these hardwares, like graphics, we're already used to that. But once you add graphics and frame rate, it's going to be a totally new ball game for a certain consumers. But yeah, man, I think they've been hitting they've been crossing all their T's, dotting all their I's, and it's not just the power of their consoles now, it's the acquisition of all their studios. And even Sean Layden tested us a few weeks ago that, hey, why not just get more AAA game quality games with 15 or 20 hours, rather than, I think we touched on this either a week or a week.
Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah. Or last week. Yeah. So yeah, man, and Xbox and Game Pass, they're on the driver's seat on this one. I think it's extremely important for them to keep having that transparency towards customers, and just being as pro consumer as they have been. And I think they're gonna be in a good spot coming next gen.
No, I mean, great points, fantastic points, and I think they're going to be in the driver's seat, so to speak.
Right.
Gaming Forte, let's bring you into this conversation. Look, no one here is going to even suggest that the PlayStation 5 isn't going to be a beast. No one here is even going to remotely suggest that their first-party games are going to run, and play better than ever before on the PlayStation 5. I think it's a well-accepted thought process from everybody in the chat to everybody on this panel.
Right.
But with that said, when you stack everything that I did for tonight's show to what Microsoft is bringing to the table, there is a potential for them to hit the ground running in this generation the same way Sony did. And with that said, if you go back, if you're an enthusiast of gaming, like I believe we all are, and you look back at history does not repeat itself. And what do I mean by that? Well, PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, right? There was a failure for Sony, right? Wii to Wii U, there was a failure on Nintendo. Xbox 360 to Xbox One, failure again on Xbox's point. Now, obviously, the PlayStation 4 is coming off a 5-year running lap victory where they wiped the floor with Microsoft for a lot of reasons. You can call it first party, you can call it massive marketing arm, you can call it whatever you want. The facts are the facts.
Right.
If you follow history, there is a potential based on, we've seen this before. We've heard this. I just mentioned 3 different instances with 3 major arms in this in the gaming industry. There could be a failure to launch for Sony from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's potential to happen. We saw Sony come back from the PS3 to the PS4. We saw Nintendo come back from the Wii U to the Switch. Is it acceptable to consider that we could see a comeback from the Xbox One to the Series X? I say so. And when you have bullet points the way I broke it down, in my opinion, I think they have a stacked deck. But I'm interested to know, what do you think, Gaming Forte?
So they have the opportunity to have this stacked deck if they do a lot of the things that you were talking about. And the biggest one is just making sure that we have games that can really entice people past just the beginning parts of the generation.
Yes.
That is the problem that Microsoft has had for the most part over the last few generations. It's just been, they start out really fast. We have all of these good deals. We have these marketing deals that allow us to have some of the best third-party exclusive games, not just games exclusive. Well, yeah, even the games exclusive last generation, but even just third-party deals when it comes to like getting stuff early or things like that. They kind of let a lot of that stuff go at the beginning of this generation. Seeing them actually dive deep and say that we're going to really narrow down and really just speak to our community with the games that we want to create, because that's been such a big sticking point for Microsoft. Most of the games that are created on Xbox platforms weren't created by them. It was created and they just acquired them. So now they're trying to make a narrative where we have these studios, we have this opportunity to shore up the one thing that always happens to us mid-generation is when we have a low or a lapse in games and we don't have anything to really entice people to come back. The reason I can see a low for Sony being is Sony always starts out the generation kind of slow. You know,
Notoriously, they do.
They throw it, I mean, granted, it depends on how you want to look at the recipe. You know, they have really good ends of generations because they have really good games that come out towards the end. I mean, just the last 2 years alone have seen 4 of the best games that came out this generation. Maybe remove one of those depending on who you are, but overall, people can't complain with the offerings they get from Sony. And that usually trickles into and turns into sales for the next system. Like, I was one of those people that told you day one when I played God of War and beat it, I was like, I already bought a PlayStation 5. It was already bought after playing God of War. And that's what those type of games do to you. The thing is, Microsoft has all these great things that happen at the beginning of a generation, then they fizzle out midway through, and it kind of makes you kind of forget why if you're not like a person that plays in an ecosystem and has friends that kind of keep you engaged in it, or there's just games that you love on that system and you just play there all the time, you kind of lose touch of why you actually play on that system versus why you enjoy the systems that you play on. So that's what Microsoft needs to do. They need to bring that excitement back, and I think that's the number one way they can go back into really winning. Now, when we say win and dominate the generation, I don't think anybody thinks that Microsoft can really just outsell Sony when it comes to that. I think most of it just comes down to the mind share that they had. They technically didn't win last generation at all. Nintendo won that with the Wii, but the mind share of what everybody was thinking was Xbox all day. That's why so many people were disappointed during the 2013 event, because it was just like this complete left turn to what we all thought the next generation would be for Xbox. And quiet as it kept, it ended up being what they said it was going to be in 2013. It just took a little bit of time for them to mature what they wanted to do to get us to where we are now. So it really just starts with the games, and then it just comes all the way back to staying on task with what you have. You have really good services that really are going to bring people into the ecosystem. Double down on those services, get xCloud out there to as many people, because the one thing that people don't realize is all of these services are just a vehicle to get people to want to buy your system to be a part of that ecosystem. Netflix doesn't do as well when it comes to their streaming service. Like, they break even on that. They make more money off of the people that want to put their stuff on their platform.
Yes.
That's where when Disney, before Disney, pulled all their stuff and they got Disney Plus now, before they did that, Disney was paying Netflix to put that stuff on because they had such a huge install base. So they were actually paying for that stuff to be on there. Netflix was just the beneficiary of all that stuff being on there outside of all their own IPs they were making. That's what Game Pass has the opportunity of doing. It has the opportunity just to bring more people in that normally wouldn't. And it's games like Cyberpunk, it's the biggest rumor out there. It might make somebody like CD Projekt Red come out and say, hey, we want this game to be in that platform. Even though we might lose sales in the beginning, we'll make that all up on the back end because people might buy it in Game Pass because it's cheaper. And on top of that, that's more eyes on the game. And there are a lot of people out there that don't care about buying, subscription services. They'd rather just pay for their games outright. And those people won't even use Game Pass, but they might hear about it just because of Game Pass. So that's where Microsoft sits. I just hope that what we see on July 23rd is just more of what we've been seeing for the last 6 to 7 months, and just keep your foot on the gas, because like Tom Phillips said, be aware Sony's right around the corner, and Microsoft knows that. And I don't think Microsoft's playing fast and loose with the stuff that's going on. I just think that they're trying to focus just on them and make sure they put the best product out there going forward. And if they do that, they'll win. They'll at least win. They'll win in gamers' eyes. They probably won't win sales-wise, but when it comes to how we feel about the platform, we won't be having the conversation we've been having the whole generation.
Yeah.
Well,
Boom,
I will
just to quickly piggyback on what Forte said. And if you look at track record, they're in a such good spot with all their studios right now. They can start, once they start releasing games, it's going to start with Halo Infinite this holiday. Then, every couple of months, I think we're going to start seeing the fruits of the labor with all these new studios. Meanwhile, Sony, if you think about it, they're kind of like what Forte said. They start off so slow. Why do I need to get a PlayStation 5 this holiday for? That's the question, right? Like, we still don't know. Like, is Miles Morales Spider-Man enough to make you buy a PlayStation? There's 100+ million PS4s out there. Is everyone on board to get a PlayStation just for the Spider-Man? It's a tough question. I think Microsoft is in a better spot than PlayStation is for especially this upcoming, let's say, the first few years.
Well, obviously, only time is going to tell. Listen, clowns, before I bring you into the conversation, let me catch up on some of these very generous super chats. First of all, a very good and generous friend of the show, Sin Vendetta. He says, I'm here. Actually, here. He says, hey, I'm actually here live. And you're usually here live, Sin Vendetta. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, how about that July 23rd Xbox event? Who's ready for Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instinct from your mouth to the gaming god's ears? I hope that does happen. Sir X-Men shows his generosity once again with another outstanding $2 super chat and says, Does that mean I'm able to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2? I think you can play that, actually, as a matter of fact. J Mo Money is here. Thank you for being here, J Mo. Super appreciate the support. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, Phil's Pork Chop Express is ready for the 23rd. Boom. I agree. And Sir X-Men, once again, his generosity is unbelievable. He drops another $2 super chat and says, Crispy, pretty darn good in Mortal Kombat 11. Yes, I heard that. I heard that you're actually quite nice in that.
Salute, bro.
Okay. Shin. Oh, man, I'm going to butcher this name. I'm so sorry. Shinsia? I think that's not how you say it. I apologize terribly. I'm just terrible at reading some of these names. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, from Paris with my love, 3:05 a.m. listening crew at work and play xCloud on the way. Play this way. Have a nice show. Well, first of all, dude, thank you so much, man. I can't believe you're listening all the way from Paris, France. That is epic, man. Welcome to the show. Thank you for
fan.
Yeah,
he's always in when me and Slow Mo stream. He's always there. He's always dropping just knowledge in the chat. So shout out to you. 3 a.m. Geez, obviously.
Well, first of all, thank you for the generosity. More importantly, thank you for hanging out. And man, it's so early over there. Thank you. It's great. I love seeing this. And Gamers Play drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, know this. Don't measure Xbox by how far it fell. Measure it by how hard they climbed back. Everyone thinks too much about what they did wrong. History was the biggest learning tool. Fans are the fuel. Well, that's a great statement. There's a lot of great statements there. Gamers Play once again shows another form of generosity with an additional $2 super chat and says, WB Games and Xbox sites, I feel good about this. Folks, listen, let me tell you something, Gamers Play. Not only do I feel really good, I feel extremely confident that it's going to get done for so many reasons. Now, folks, listen, there are a lot of people asking in the chat, boom, how could you not talk about the potential of the WB acquisition? The reason why I'm not is because I pulled the story an hour and 15 minutes before the show went live. I can't write a massive topic in that short of amount of time. So rest assured that the Xbox Factor crew on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shameless plug, we will be talking about that as topic number one. I'm waiting for some more backdoor information to come in. I'm hoping I get it before the show goes live on Thursday. I have a feeling I will, but I'll put it to this. Here's my statement in regards to this. Again, folks, when BG Go Blow It Out Your Ass is reporting about something that you've never heard of this site, I say, well, they're still a website. Take it with a grain of salt. When you have Jez Corden from Windows Central and most of the mainstream media hubs talking about this, there's something to it. Are they going to definitely buy it? I don't know. Who's better suited for it? There's nobody. Microsoft has 10 times the money of EA, Activision, and 2K games combined. 10 times the amount of money. So $4 billion, even though if I'm saying it like it's a drop in a hat, it's not. They are the company that's better suited financially to take a chance on something like that. With that said, Xbox Game Pass to Microsoft is more important than the consoles simply because of what they're doing in Korea and Japan. Right? Project xCloud is the answer because in those territories, console gaming has become an afterthought. It's just not the way people game anymore. It used to be the lead dog in how people gamed. It's not like that anymore. So, I know that everyone's going to talk about, well, the PlayStation 5 sold 179 million. F you, Xbox, and the Xbox sold whatever. But it's not going to be, this next generation is not going to be determined on how many consoles you sell. It's going to be how many people are in your Xbox Live and how many people are on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, how many people are on PSN, how many people are on PlayStation Now. Those numbers are going to matter. It's going to be more so for Microsoft. I hate to say it, simply because you're going to be able to play on everything, and first party games are there day and date Sony can't say that right now. Hopefully they change their ideology. But clowns, let's get back to the topic at hand. My question to you is this: because Phil Dominus, Maximus, soon to be Aurelius Spencer, has been for months spelling out its roadmap for the entire Xbox community, more so the gaming community, of what Xbox is going to do, they have been as transparent as you could want as a company. With all of the bullet points that I have posted and potentially missed on a few, do you think that their deck is stacked going into the next generation? And could they catch Sony with their pants down?
You know, I think so. I really do feel that, because I think that Phil has taken on a lot of risks going forward as a consumer-friendly service for Xbox. And I think he's making the right moves and the smart moves for the future. And we've seen that with Game Pass. We've seen that with studio acquisitions. We've seen that with him starting up the initiative and getting top-geared talent there. We've seen that he has been very proactive in answering Xbox fans, making things happen. And, you know, I know we're not really going to get into the WB Games thing, but a lot of people wanted him to consider Xbox purchasing at least some IPs or getting involved in that. And now we're seeing the fruits of that talk from all this feedback from fans that Microsoft is actually considering this. He is the right guy for the right job at Xbox. And I think he can go ahead and go head to head with Sony with first party titles, first party studios, acquiring third parties as well to make something. So I think we're looking at a good future for Xbox, man. Next generation, xCloud, Game Pass, everything's there as a service. And Sony can't compete with that. I mean, their PS Now is not even anywhere close to like a Game Pass or the quality of the stream. If you have PS Now and you try it out, you'll see that there's still lag on there. And Game Pass is a lot better, and so is the xCloud. It's a lot better than PS Now. So I mean, yeah, Phil's the right guy, man, and he's gonna get Sony, and he's gonna show them.
Well, I mean, obviously they're gearing up for something big. You know, obviously it all points to being one of the biggest shows in the company's history. Yeah, have we heard that before? Sure. But I think Microsoft, more specifically Phil Spencer as their leader, understands that this is the show that you leave nothing in the back room. You literally throw everything, including this kitchen sink, and hopefully they will delight and blow our minds. And last but certainly not least, Tempest Sun, my question to you is actually, it's a two-pronged question. You know, with everything listed, with everything that we've talked about in the last, 30 or 40 minutes of tonight's program, does Microsoft have enough to not only give Sony a run for its money, can they win next generation?
Yeah, they can win next generation. How they do it, everything they got going for them. I mean, there's so many things they have going for them. If it's from the All Access program, which I think is going to do wonders. Trust me, that is going to do wonders to getting consoles in people's houses. To the xCloud, the way xCloud is just going to work. It's not strictly what's in Game Pass. It'll eventually be just whatever you have in your library. You know, if you have bought it on a gamer tag, you know, if you own it, you're going to be able to play it anywhere. So Game Pass itself, I mean, there's just so many things: the backwards compatibility, the AI learning, the increased resolution, frame rates. I mean, you know, you name it, they got it. What they also have is, I've said it many times on here before, and I think they don't get enough credit, is they're not out here just looking at who's in number one's, you know, spot right now and saying, well, what are they doing? The third person action adventure. Do they need a couple of those? Sure. Absolutely. But what they do have is, like, for me personally, I might be the oddball out here, but one of my most look forward to games, period, is Age of Empires 4. Like, I cannot wait for that game. I literally can't wait for it. And the fact that it's been like 7 months now since I've seen anything from it kills me, because I want it so bad. But that's just they made a studio for those types of games, for the Age of Empires, series. People that like the old school top down, RPGs. I truly do believe at some point they're going to rather make an Asian or Japanese studio, or they're going to buy one. I think they're going to have that under their belt as well. I just think they have too much good going for them. I can't think of really any bad. There's a couple things that are still kind of a black eye, which to me, they're not a black eye. I've been subscribed to Xbox Live since 2001. I don't care. I pay for a service. I've never gotten hacked. Never had anybody steal anything from me. When they say it's down and people are like, oh, Xbox is having problems, 9 out of 10 times I get on my Xbox and like, let's see these problems they're having. And I don't run into it. So it's not everywhere. It's not a global thing. And sometimes it is, but in like a 30 minutes to an hour, it's fixed. The Xbox Live, I don't feel like it ever truly goes down. Sometimes certain assets of it go down, but that's about it. So it doesn't bother me. But one of the black eyes is the whole not being able to play free games without gold. Right. That's one of the quote unquote black eyes. It's not a black eye to me. Like I said, I've been subscribed since 2001. But, to a lot of people, that is a black eye. Besides that, Games of Gold. Games of Gold is lackluster.
It's terrible.
It is. It's terrible.
Spade a spade. It's awful.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, yeah, it's awful. Besides that, man, I mean, yeah, this statement, Xbox doesn't have any games right now, is a lie. It's a lie right now.
Yeah.
But soon, it probably come July 23rd, I will truly think it's the dumbest, most non-true statement you could ever say in the gaming industry is that Xbox has no games. They're going to have games. They're probably going to look phenomenal. I just, I think this is, money doesn't speak for everything, but when a $1 trillion company decides to go all in on something, what do you think's going to happen? At least if you have a smart leader in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And listen to Phil Spencer. That dude, he is a down-to-earth guy. He is a cool person. I mean,
he's a gamer at his heart.
That's it. A gamer at his heart. I mean, I've read the interview where he talked about all the different stuff he's into. And I mean, me, I love music. I'm a musician myself. So when he just recently said he bought the new Tool album and he loves it, I'm like, I love you, Phil. He's just like a real person, So I don't know. And that's who's in the driver's seat of this. I mean, he's not the CEO of Microsoft, but I mean, he's like the right-hand man of Satya Nadella.
Yes.
And it's one of the biggest companies on the planet. You mix this together and it's like, well, duh, what'd you think was going to happen? They're going to have game after game after game, studio after studio. And, I didn't want to get my hopes up, but just reading some of the stuff during the show here on Twitter, like just reading Tim Dog's, hype tweets and stuff like that. I don't know, man, this might be the real deal.
He has been stoking the flames, and I talk to Tim on a regular basis, folks. He has some serious info that he's holding close to the vest, and he's smiling from ear to ear like a Cheshire cat. So I'm excited because listen. You got to listen. He comes forward and he tells you, Tim. If Microsoft drops the ball, he'll come out and say it. He won't say it in a mean way, but he'll say it. He just says it, and he's been holding some stuff close to his vest, and I'm sure that panel at RDX. That's right. The other Xbox show that only has 3,000 people in the chat. Dealer and those guys, I highly, highly respect. And if you're not following any of them, shame on you. You should definitely give that show a listen and also follow those dudes. That is a panel of superstars for sure. But real good stuff as usual, dude. I agree 100% with you. I think that everything you said about Phil being who he is why Microsoft is going to succeed. What I love about Phil is his human side. Where he went, instead of talking about just how much money Microsoft made during the pandemic, he'll come out and he'll say, well, we're concerned about our gaming community affording the next generation. And if you need help, we're going to do that. He leads with that. Leaders lead, and he leads on a regular basis. And this was a fantastic topic. I want to move into the next one. But before I do, got to catch up on some of these super chats. Once again, Eagles fan 76 drops an outstanding and very generous $2 super chat and says 23rd off. Can't wait to listen to everyone's shows. Yes, you know what? I'll announce it now live on the air on July 22nd. At noon, we are having the Microsoft first party showcase predictions show. It's basically going to be a Wednesday edition of the Xbox Factor podcast, because Thursday, obviously, they're going to be having the event. I'm going to be on the Iron Lords podcast in the afternoon, but at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday evening, I have already found the biggest panel I have ever put together since being a YouTuber, and everyone is locked and loaded. I'll be making an announcement of who those panel members would be, but it's going to be obviously the post Xbox first party review show. Hopefully everyone tunes into that. That is going to be of epic proportion. But let me catch up on some of these super chats. Let me see if I can. Hopefully I didn't miss anything here. Okay, hold on. Let me just. Okay, I got Eagles fan, and Nightwolf 3186 is here. Hey, dude, thank you so much for hanging out. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, yet another outstanding show and panel. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate it. I was curious if Boom and Panel could give their take on one thing Xbox might do that we won't see coming. All right, I'll give you something that's going to blow your fucking socks off. There's my one F-bomb of the night. Okay, Xbox Live is going to be announced as being free to everyone.
You took mine, which I took for Forte. Damn it.
Oh, well, I guess mine is gone because I said that in a video a while ago.
Xbox Live, folks, is going to be one of those mic drop moments. Now, whether that's done in July, which I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be in August with the announcement of the Series S, the price date, the price of the consoles, the date of launch, and closing out as we got one more big thing for you. Xbox Live is free for everyone, and that's when Mike drops the kickstand and just stands there and smiles.
And the reason I can say that I 100% agree with you, and I kind of agree with myself, is the fact that if you go look at those all access pages for those systems that you can buy, and of course they're going to update those with the new systems when they finally announce them and give dates and prices on them. They don't mention anything about Xbox Live. It's all about Game Pass Ultimate.
Yes.
And pretty much at a certain point, they haven't even, I don't remember the last time they even used the word Xbox Live.
Yes.
Xbox Live has kind of been faded out of the vocabulary over the last couple of months and stuff, right? Actually, for like the half part of this year, they haven't really used it. Ever since they included it into Ultimate, it's like afterthought. So
it is. Well,
they're just preparing people at this point.
Yeah, that's a great point, because what Microsoft has done is you remember Beverly Hills Cop 2? I don't know if anyone remembers that. With Eddie Murphy.
Definitely.
Well, of course, we're old bastards. Of course we do. Well, there was a particular part in the movie where he had a bunch of parking tickets in his left hand. He goes, "You see these parking tickets in my left hand? Well, if a bunch of $100 bills jumped in his right hand, I don't know where these parking tickets were." Right? Yeah. And what I think Microsoft has done is they used to hold Xbox Live in their left hand when all they had making money for them was Xbox Live. Mm-hmm. And now when you look at Ultimate Game Pass, you're paying for Xbox Game Pass. You're also now going to get Project X Cloud baked into there, right? You have looked at these two incredible things and you forgot all about Xbox Live. That's been taken off the table because one of their biggest announcements is that it's going to be free. And how did I deduct this? How did the detective that I know that I am deduct this? Well, for the last couple of years, there have been many people mounting pressure on Microsoft to remove that paywall that Tempest was talking about. Like, you can't play Fortnite without having Xbox Live, even though it's a free-to-play game. They've pooed it. They have not mentioned it.
Yep.
And the reason why they haven't mentioned it, folks, is because they were gearing up to have it free. And I think that if they do announce it, the pressure that immediately jumps onto the shoulders of Sony is going to be immense. And quite frankly, Sony could not afford, nor would they want to give up that kind of money from PSN, because you're paying $60 a year for PSN unless you're savvy, and you can get it like on sale. Like, I got it on sale for $31, which is great.
Yep.
I got 2 years and I'm good to go. but they can't give up that money because because PlayStation Now is just not doing the numbers of Game Pass. They're just not hitting those numbers because the service is lacking. Not that it's terrible, it's just not doing what Xbox Game Pass is doing. So Microsoft puts the pressure. Just imagine as our good friend Lord Cognito says, the pincer attack. Could you imagine if they get out there and they announce that they bought WB? They get out there and they say Xbox Series X 400, Xbox Series X 200. Oh, and by the way, Xbox Live is free. You drop the mic and you just walk off the stage. You don't even say anything. There's no rebuttal. It would be the most devastating 1-2 kick in the teeth punch the industry has ever seen. And again, is it going to happen? Probably not. Not at least not in that order. But one could hope. But you know what?
I think we'll get a price in July.
I don't know. I think it's August. I don't think anything. There's going to be nothing in July except games, and more games. And listen, dude, you got to change your mic thing again because you're starting to bite a little bit.
All right.
So listen, let's take a step back here, get a breather as we cross 500 people still here listening to the show. When you talk about Microsoft, well, you got to talk about Sony. And quite frankly, Sony has a game coming out this month that has me very excited. Now, when July finally hit, it dawned on many PlayStation fans or PlayStation Nation that we're all a part of that Ghost of Tsushima will be coming. Now, we first heard about this at Paris Game Week way back in 2017. And since then, we've had a few trailers, and earlier this year, Sucker Punch showed an 18-minute actual gameplay demo that dazzled and delighted everyone who watched it. Now, on July 17th, which is the release date, one of Sony's major first-party IPs will be out, and early expectations are suggesting that Ghosts of Tsushima by Sucker Punch will score in the 90-plus meta, which, from what we've seen, would not doubt that that's going to happen. Whether that actually happens, though, of course, remains to be seen. We have to play the game. We have to invest time in the game. We have to get the game and and see what the reviewers are saying. But in a story that I pulled from Game Informer .com, they just released the A Storm Is Coming Ghost of Tsushima trailer, and it was released earlier. I believe it was last week, but it could have been earlier it was earlier last week because we're on Monday, so it wasn't released today. And I've actually watched it several times, and of course I was already hyped because I had pre-ordered the collector's edition that comes with the replica mask, which looks absolutely dope. Now, for me, the new trailer actually raised some more questions than it actually answered, in truth. And I have some concerns that I want to get the pulse of the community as well as the panel. Now, based on that 18-minute demo, they talked a lot about you being the honorable samurai and you walking into a fight and doing your thing. But they also talked about being the ghost, meaning that you hid in the shadows, very similar to what we saw in older games like, of course, Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell, and just recently, right, Last of Us 2, the best stealth in gaming I've ever seen. Story was god awful, but the control and the crafting and the killing from the weeds and stuff was absolutely fantastic. But I have some questions because I am not the kind of gamer who likes being the bad guy. Like, it's just not in my nature. I like being the shining light of good. That's just who I am as a person. That's who I like to play as a character. But I don't like the idea of you being forced to paint yourself into a corner, either or. Like, I don't know. I mean, again, I need some more clarification. I'm hoping that someone might be able to shine a light in my direction and ease my concerns about, wanting to play this game from the shadows. Does that make me the bad guy? Or do I have to just walk into every fight, do the honorable thing, fight with my swords while you're getting attacked by 18 people? I mean, I'd rather just kill you from the shadows. That's just me. But I'm hoping that we have an ability to choose our own path. Now, I want to go to Crispy Bomb first on this. Now, Crispy, I don't necessarily remember for some reason if you have a PlayStation 4. But if is Ghost of Tsushima something you're interested in playing? When you watch that video, were you enticed to get a PlayStation 4 potentially, or just hold out to a PlayStation 5 eventually and get this game?
See, I don't have a PlayStation 4. I've been looking into it, but unfortunately, financial things have happened, and plus they're like everybody's selling them for like $500, which is crazy. I mean, I think at least the cheapest one I saw was like $300-$400. I'm like, a lot of people are buying consoles right now. I think that's the reason why. But yeah. So I mean, my ultimate goal is maybe once my roommate upgrades, I'm just gonna buy his off him, and that'll be the easiest way. So that's gonna be probably the first game I pick up, to be honest with you, because it reminds me of Tenchu, which I mean, I played the hell out of Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. I think from the story trail, I feel like you're gonna either be able to do both or maybe only do one, which is a little concerning, like you said, or I think maybe the way the story will go is going to make you do both. But I mean, I hear that the samurai battling is very hard, so I would hope.
Yes.
I would hope that those people that want that challenge are able to do it the whole time. And I think those people really don't care if you only have to make one choice or not. But me, I'm gonna be the shadowy figure, like bring back some nostalgia to me, because it definitely like being that setting and everything really just gives me those vibes of when I was a kid and first played some of those games. But I always have a problem that I feel like PlayStation, that is like their MO now, is a stealth based game. Besides maybe Spider-Man, but even like there's a lot of stealth in Horizon Zero Dawn. It's something that I don't know. I'm in it for the gameplay. I know a lot of people are like, oh, how can you say like that's my thing. Like if I feel like I'm playing the same game and it's just got a different coat of paint on it, that it doesn't get me enticed. Now this game gets me enticed because it's kind of bringing back a couple of old beloved games, and really gives me those vibes. So, I'm hoping that they give you a good mix, or at least at some point force you to do both. It looks like that's going to happen, but it's an intriguing game. It's probably the most intriguing, biggest game on my radar, I should say, for PlayStation right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot to like about it, especially if you're a fan of something like Sekiro, which did very well. I harken back to my love of Onimusha from Capcom from way back in the days. I'm hoping we get some sort of revival of that franchise, the same way they did with Resident Evil. I would love that. That's why I'm so excited for this game. Though, again, my concern is, if you play one way, do you lose the ability of the story for the other way, meaning the honorable way? They have not made that information available through all of the trailers that we've seen. They talked about doing the honorable way, walking into a fight, fighting, the samurai way. And they also talked about, killing from the shadows. They didn't specify whether or not that would change the story either way. Like you would be outed a portion of the story. I hope that's not the case, because I don't think I'm going to play the game twice. I mean, I'm going to play one way, maybe dabble into playing as one particular fighting style and stay strong to another. But if I'm going to miss out on one half of the story because I chose to play this way, I'm going to be very disappointed. But my question next is coming to Gaming Forte. Now, Gaming Forte, you obviously have seen the masses stepping up and pre-ordering this in a big way. You obviously work in GameStop, and I'm sure that the pre-orders are just as much, potentially more, than even The Last of Us 2, because, obviously The Last of Us 2 was shrouded in controversy, where Ghost of Tsushima has not been. A lot of people are really excited because they get those old school Tenchu vibes. My question to you, actually, I have several questions. Are you a day one buyer? That's number one. Or number two, are you going to play the honorable samurai or the backstabbing ninja?
Ah, man, they make it okay. So yes, I am getting it day one. I'm getting the mask edition just like you are.
Of course you are.
Yeah, got to get that. Second of all, it's interesting because when I looked at the gameplay of it, it's like you said, it looks like it's black and white. It doesn't look like there's any gray in the middle. It's like which way you decide to go is pretty much the direction you can take your character in. I mean, of course, you could probably pull them out and go into a different direction, but there's no middle ground, it looks like. But we don't know that until the game comes out, so we're not going to hold any things against that. But me, I'm gonna play it like I do every game. When I play Mass Effect, I played on the good side, and it's just enjoyable to do that because I kind of always go through my first playthrough like how I would play if it was me, like me in that character doing it. That's the one thing I enjoy the most about narrative games that involve choice and consequence into it, because you can actually weave your own personality through it a little bit to make that character your own. So depending on how drastic the differences are, I might do it twice. I did play Mass Effect for more than.
Did you play from both the Paragon?
I did nice. Both sides. Yeah, it was like you start seeing, this is the thing about games like this, you start seeing cutscenes of things that you didn't see because you didn't do it, and it's like it almost entices you to want to be on the negative side of everything because it just seems like that's the more exciting side of the game, especially since you're the ninja, you're in the dark, you're the Dishonored like follows you around, and it just seems like that is the more interesting playthrough, where the honorable side is more of the methodical, the more stealth side, the more giving everybody a chance. So it seems like it's a little bit more bland, but it also could be the fact that we're just not seeing everything, because a lot of these trailers do a lot of smoke and mirrors where they kind of make you feel like you're going in one direction, but holy crap, when the game comes out, it's a completely different thing. And that is just the way that Hollywood does that. Video games are no stranger to that either. So I'm gonna play as the good guy because that's how I typically play at first, and then it's just gonna come down to what responses I get from other people and the trailers and stuff that I see, or like, of course, people are going to put gameplay up of what they did and how it turned out, and I'm going to be looking at that. And if it's interesting enough, I'll do a second playthrough, because it's not like we won't be doing anything throughout the whole summer.
Right. I mean, obviously, it's certainly a great time for its release. So I got to be honest with you, I'm slightly concerned for a couple of reasons, because they put the massive arm of Sony's marketing, which has been stellar this entire generation, behind The Last of Us 2. We have not seen the same arm strength for Ghost of Tsushima. Now, granted, I understand that it's still 11 days away, but to be fair, it seems as if they're not that confident on this game, because they have used a little bit of smoke and mirrors regarding its gameplay. Now, granted, the 18-minute walkthrough with the developer was freaking awesome, and I hope that we get to see some of Microsoft first-party games get that kind of treatment. That was amazing, and the graphics, of course. The graphics are going to be what they are, but do you have any concerns as to maybe Sony not being as confident with this one because we haven't seen the massive marketing that they're known for?
No, I mean, and I thought about that kind of too, because even pre-orders aren't as up as like Last of Us. And granted, Last of Us is more of a well-known game. It's a massive game. People were excited for that game from day one. So the pre-orders for that were going to dwarf this anyways, on top of Sony doing their marketing push for it when they started doing it. I think the thing that this game is kind of having the problem with it is not even really a problem. I think when you look at games like Sekiro, when you look at games like that, where it granted is not the same type of game, but it's like in the same type of era. That game didn't do as well, and they marketed that game. The game didn't do as well off the beginning, but it ramped up like crazy over the course of the month that it was out. And that just seems to kind of be the way that stealth type games, action adventures games that really heavily built on stealth, actually really like the reaction it gets to people. So Sony might do a real good push on it once the game is released. Of course, they'll do their build up over the last 5 or 10 days of the game coming out. You'll see it on everybody's YouTube. You'll see an Xbox video, and then a PlayStation trailer will show up at the end of it, because that's normally what happens for some reason. So you'll see stuff like that. But I also think the fact that Sony likes to, for the summer, Sony likes to do like these events where they can put like stuff out in the wild. Like Spider-Man last year they had a subway in New York that was dedicated to the game that was all tricked out and everything. You saw God of War on the side of the basketball courts during the NBA. All that stuff that normally would happen for games like this is kind of like out there in the ether, because that's not happening right now. So they have to find a new way outside of traditional marketing that they would normally do to push a game like this, because Last of Us doesn't need fanfare. People already know what that game is. This game does. So I think that's where that type of marketing push would have came from. Like, hey, why does that subway look like it's from feudal Japan for some reason? And it will get the conversation going. So over the course of the next week or so, you'll see them ramp that up. But I think this game is the one that people will sell it for Sony. If it's good, it will sell, just because word of mouth is the thing that's going to sell this game for them. And I think that's what they're kind of banking on and hoping that it does.
You know, I'll say this, and I'm going to go to Tempest Sun next, for this particular part of the Ghost of Tsushima topic. My only concern is this feels very reminiscent of Days Gone. And what do I mean by that? Days Gone wasn't a mess. Days Gone was, slightly soiled. It was a 7. Now obviously the sequel. Now granted, it sold very well. P.S. by the way, but for me, after 30 hours, I gave up on the game. Not because the story was terrible, not because it was I got murdered a million times by a horde of zombies. No, not that. That was all fun. That was great. It's the upgrade system was poor. The fact that I had the same AK-47 from minute 1 all the way up until minute 30, hour 30, it didn't do enough for me. And I have a funny feeling that the same, because it looks this way, folks, the same treatment Ben Studio got with, of course, Days Gone. I feel like Sucker Punch is kind of getting from Sony with Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I don't know why that is. I honestly don't know why. I'm interested to know what you think.
Yeah, I actually, this was one of the games that Sony really interested me in 2018. It had a certain look about it, and I'm not trying to say this is a negative, but it was one of the games that seems like it slightly broke the mold of what the first party games have been, right? And what I mean by that is when they finally got into combat, it looked like the combat almost took on a Bushido Blade type of feel to it. It looked like it was like a 3D revolving arena type of thing. The art style, the colors and everything, some of that is still here. But it just, every trailer they show, it almost, listen, I don't know if this happened or not, but it's almost like, a bigwig from Sony was like, hey, you see God of War and The Last of Us and all these other games that have this camera angle and this and that and this and that. Why don't you do a little bit of that? Oh, also, it's the Assassin's Creed games, Ubisoft, they have all these activities on the map, that kind of stuff. That's just what I saw. And that 17-minute long gameplay trailer, that actually worried me a little bit because the time frame, the characters, if you will, that aesthetic, the Japanese aesthetic, they're very honor based, and that's exactly what you defy if you go the ninja route, as
right.
You lose your honor. But with that stuff, when I see it in something like a 2-hour movie, a 3-hour epic movie, or something like that, it's a little bit of a better pill to swallow, so to speak. I mean, if you're really, really into that stuff, it's not going to bother you. But Sony's games tend to be a little long. So if I'm playing a 30 to 40 hour game, this is only speculation, but it just looks to me like there's not going to be much personality. When I take on side quests and stuff like that, and something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, You know, sometimes if they do a good enough job on the side quest, you might feel something for some of the characters. They'll make you laugh. The dialogue sometimes is so goofy it's good, or it's just flat out good. Some of the stories, right? You have a very wide range, a mix of emotions in that game because it was done well, to be honest with you. You know, so if you play a 34-hour game and it's always just a serious tone, just serious, 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 I don't know, man. I just not I got limited time nowadays, and I just don't want to like be bored, if that makes any sense. I'm not saying the game's going to be boring, but yeah, it just looked like it was void of personality. When he destroyed the docks and they're on fire, there was no story beat. There was no reason why he was destroying docks. It panned out just like Far Cry 4 and 5, and a thing popped up on the screen and just said docks destroyed. You know, it just looked like a checklist activity. They say it's exploration bound, but you know, what are you exploring? Is this a new land? It shouldn't be. I think he's been here his whole life. I mean, I don't know really what you're doing. I don't know how teaming or beaming with life the area is going to be or not. It looks a little bit on the kind of, you know, empty side. So I just don't know. I was left with way more questions after seeing that long gameplay, you know, showing that they had at the state of play than I had before. I thought I was going to get, you know, you go to one location, you duke it out with a bunch of guys and you get some story choices and it just looked different. You know, that's my take anyway. It looked different. And now it just looks a little bit like it's, you know, more of the same. And that's what has me the most worried about it, especially with like the personality of the game. I just don't see any. And I just wonder if that's going to hurt the game, especially if it's 30 to 40 hours long. You know, that's my take anyway.
Well, I mean, listen, going back to Last of Us 2, to be honest with you, it was 12 plus hours too long. No doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. The game should have been a 24-hour game called Square. The story was just, man, it pissed me off in such a way that normally I go back into games, especially Sony games, and I start mopping up the achievements. And I find myself absolutely not even wanting to bother. I got 36% of the tri-set achievements of the trophies, and I'm close on several of the golds, which would obviously boost my score. Like the safes, finding the safes. I just, because of the way I have no interest, and I'm hoping that's not going to be the case with Ghosts because I have really high expectations. You know, I want to bring in Clowns on this, but before I do Clowns, obviously we're closing in on the 2-hour mark. I want to get everybody out of here on time. Let me get to JMO Money. Drops an outstanding $2 super chat and asks, will base Game Pass ever go away, only Ultimate? What I think is going to happen with that is Ultimate is going to give you, for the $15 a month, is going to give you Xbox Game Pass, console, PC, and xCloud. What I think a regular $10 a month Game Pass is going to give you is console, Game Pass, and xCloud. I think the X factor, if you will, is going to be for people who want to play on PC as well. That's just my opinion. Sir X-Man drops another very generous $2 super chat, says, want them to announce OG Xbox Live is turned back. I don't want OG Xbox Live. I like the one that they have now. VJ, who's going to be on the show next week, drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and simply says support. Well, thank you, VJ, and we look forward to hearing from you next week. So, Clowns, when we talk about Ghost of Tsushima, it is a flagship title from Sony's first party. Sucker Punch is a great developer. We know them. They started this generation with a fantastic superhero-esque type of game, and they haven't done much since. So this game they've been working on for a while. I hope it pans out. Well, what are your thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima, of what they've shown so far?
I got to be honest with you on this one, Boom. I am not a huge fan of the way the game looks. And I haven't really seen too much of it because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. I'm thinking about renting it to try it out instead of buying it. I do know, though, that there is a lot of hype behind this game just from the community and PlayStation fans. I know some of my Xbox friends they pre-ordered this game. They want it real bad. And to me, when I first saw it, the image that I got, right, without proper marketing, this is just looking at the game from an unexperienced point of view, a know nothing, no spoiler point of view. It reminded me kind of like a Dark Souls game.
Yes.
So it kind of turned my interest off, but people are telling me it's not like that at all. People are telling me it's more open world a little bit. So I don't know to see what I'm expecting in this, to be honest.
I hope that it's not like Dark Souls, otherwise I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be honest with you. If it plays like Sekiro, which I was terrible at, I'm going to be mad. If it plays like Assassin's Creed, and it kind of looks like it does, giving me a lot of things to do, because I'm a collector. I like going all over the map, finding everything. As a matter of fact, that's why I finished, again, The Last of Us 2 with only one missing safe and one missing crafting table, because I spent hours in areas that most people were just blown by. I'm a collector like that. I enjoy it, but I hope, oh my God, I would be so mad if it's like the Soul series, because even though I buy those games, I don't enjoy them, man. I try, and I would be so freaking pissed if it's like that. I'm going to be, tell you right now. But last and in no way least, Cybernox. Let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, Cyber, when you talk about ninjas, when you talk about samurais, I think Channel 5 here in New York back in the early 80s, because that's what they used to have on Sundays, which, obviously Cognito and King David from the Iron Lords podcast can represent that era of watching these karate flicks. I'm excited for this game. I hope that it turns out not to be a Souls game. What are your opinions on Ghosts of Tsushima? Is it a day one buy for you?
I'm not sure it's a day one buy for me, but I am extremely excited for this game. Just the atmosphere alone, and I think the immersion that you might get, especially coming from Sony first party, I think does it for me. I do like I've become really it's grown on me, the Dark Souls like combat. I just feel very rewarding when you beat a boss, or when you do when you finish a fight, and I think this game would it speaks to that volume. I think the sort of like the duels you have, and the countering, how you can one hit kill somebody if you perfect counter or something like it's amazing. But when we saw that trailer as well, I did see some early Assassin's Creed combat, right, which you're just waiting, countering, waiting, attack and countering. So I'm happy either way. I just I love like feudal Japan. I love that atmosphere. I'm not sure why the push for this game hasn't been as much. Maybe because of everything that's been happening with The Last of Us Part 2. That's where their attention has been. But yeah, I'm excited for this game, man. I do hope, however, that kind of like what Tempest was alluding to, it's a little bit more in depth. It has a little bit more identity, a little bit more different characteristics than just a bunch of games that we're used to playing. Besides that, man, yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to play it. I'm not sure it's a day one for me though. Maybe I'll wait a little bit.
Okay, I mean that makes perfect sense. I could not wait. I never miss on Sony's first party games. The only one I wind up missing was which one was it? The one with the baby.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding was the one I wind up skipping on because I was like, and then my brother,
Walking Simulator.
yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. My brother wound up buying it for me. He surprised me with it, and I actually quite enjoyed it. I mean, I put like 50 plus hours into it. And the story is, what you get with Kojima. They're a little wacky, but I think for me, the most impressive aspect was something I didn't expect coming with that game, and that was the community aspect, where I would go back into the game and I'd have bridges and all kinds of equipment left behind by other players that I would never see. I thought that was really dope. And again, it's something different. Sony knows how to do things different. I'm hoping that this is more Assassin's Creed than Souls. If it is, this will definitely be a 50+ hour game for me. And for crying out loud, I put 19 days into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, folks.
Yeah, I don't know
team.
why Ubisoft hasn't done, and
I know that's I think it's the biggest game.
It's insane to me.
Yeah. I real quick. I one thing I do know from a few different podcasts I follow is I'm almost 100% positive the review embargo lifts before the game comes out. It does, yes. I don't. Okay, I don't. Call me a cynic, whatever. I don't trust mainstream media anymore. I don't.
No way.
But there is quite a few YouTubers I do trust, even though I don't agree with them 100%, that are going to be reviewing it. So pick your favorite YouTuber, or don't pick one. Pick 2 or 3 of them that you trust most of the time. Keep an eye on them, see what they say, and I think people need to start doing that a bit more. If you want the pre-order bonuses, check out these reviews that come out a couple days beforehand. If you like what you see, pre-order it right then and there, and then you have it start installing on your system or something, just let it breathe a little bit, see if you agree with it. Cause I don't want to get in, we don't even have time to get into Last of Us 2 thing. There's a lot of people that felt a little jaded by that game, to say the least. So just, pick a couple YouTubers, ones you trust, and just, listen to what they have to say and make your decision based off of that. So that's
actually great advice. Well, listen, folks, we are past the 2-hour mark on an incredible show from start to finish. Lots of big topics, lots of even bigger opinions. And of course, we broke the 500 people in the live chat, which is amazing. I want to thank everybody for, of course, being here for that. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Even if our opinions don't match, that's perfectly okay. Of course, I have to thank the community for the outstanding support financially through the super chat. It has been another night of humbling, if you will, and I cannot thank you guys and gals enough for the support you are showing Double Barrel Gaming. So let's get into the outros and shut this puppy down. We'll start with our special guest, Crispy Bomb. You are a part of something special known as the Retro Renegades. Every week, I don't know who's hosting this week, but it's a great show with a bunch of great guys who pop beers, talk old school gaming, and you know what? Have something called #fun. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can find you on other podcasts, as well as, of course, where they can find you on social media.
Boom, panel, chat, awesome night. I always look forward to getting on a podcast I don't always do. And, I always look forward to working with you, Boom. It's Retro Renegades tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I believe it's on Jay, the Graphic Gods channel. If you want some live gaming, you see some old retro games. I mean, they pull out games sometimes I have never even seen or played. So it's always fun to see what these guys pull out. And then also you're gonna find me on Breakfast with Boom Friday 10 a.m. and next podcast Saturday 7 p.m. And just awesome to see all these great gamers in the chat, and everybody have a good night.
Well, thanks for being here, dude. It's always great to work with you. Obviously, we missed you this past Friday, but you'll be back in your seat this Friday morning for the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. That goes live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday morning. And continuing with the outros, and we'll go the Gaming Forte next. Gaming Forte, obviously, I look up to you as not only a content creator, not only as the hardest working podcaster in the business, but as a human being as a whole. You bring a lot to the table. Your interactions with the community are second to none and admirable at every point of contention. Tell everyone where they can listen to you on other shows, check out your outstanding YouTube channel, but more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, man, it's always, man, it's mind-boggling and just amazing how the community has rallied around the show, me in general, and everything. So I always appreciate always being here. You guys are an amazing group of guys, and that's why I call you guys friends. But it is Gaming Forte on YouTube and on Twitter. Check us out on Basement Radio Podcast every Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Shout out to Enrique and Slobo and the rest of the crew. Crossfire 7 o'clock on Fridays, and the lovely Ash and Luca 4 p.m. with Slow-Mo, Hustle and Motivate, and the rest of the crew on the Scumcast. And man, just remember this: it's all about Xbox today, and It's going to be an amazing couple of weeks. Just keep your ear to the ground for more information. The closer we get to this reveal, the closer those systems are going to be coming up for pre-order. So keep your ears open for that. You guys might know before I do, but I'll be sure to make sure that I let you guys know the moment I do.
Well, that's awesome. Real quick, Isders Bane asks, Boom, any news on the Welsh gamer? As a matter of fact, I spoke with the Welsh gamer today, and yes, him and his family are doing well.
Nice.
So his wife is a nurse. So obviously with COVID being what it is, his wife is really putting her, been really grinding the long hours. And unfortunately, his son, who's normally at school when he would do the show, is home. So he has to do daddy duty while his obviously wife takes care of the people. She's a first responder. So he is well, his family is well. He will be returning to his seat at the round table, known as the Xbox Factor Podcast.
Nice.
We just cannot be specific date, but understand that he, yes, will be back. I miss Welsh very much. He is my brother all the way from the other side of the pond, and he will be making his grand return appearance. And as soon as I get that date, I'll be posting it for everyone to know, and I look forward to that day. So thank you for asking. Next up, Clowns, obviously, you survived the show, which means that you got your hands potentially on a delicious calzone. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out Four Guys with Quarters.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. Every Monday, usually between 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, we do Four Guys with Quarters, me, Zebra Fries, and ZPCI Assassin. And lately, I've been streaming a lot more on Facebook Gaming, been getting a lot of views there. I'm also a Twitch affiliate, and I was actually allowed to apply for partnership already.
Good luck.
Just based on the fact that Four Guys with Quarters is on iHeartRadio. So thanks, guys. Every Monday, 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, Four Guys with Quarters.
And where can people find you on social media?
It's at Italian Clowns, pretty much on almost everything.
Excellent.
You said you're an affiliate already on Twitch?
Yes.
All right, cool. Hey, everybody, if you got Amazon, if you got Prime, if you're not using that Prime sub on somebody, if you don't go on Twitch or anything like that, just go over there, link your Twitch account to your Prime account, and you get a free sub. And go give it to your man Italian Clowns. I'm looking to give mine to somebody else. I'll probably be doing that just because the person I used to follow on there is caught up in all this other crazy stuff that's been happening in the world. So if you got it, go over there and support it, because that is something that Twitch is giving you guys as people that have Amazon, have Prime as a service. So don't let that go to waste. That $5 goes to the creator fully, and it helps them out a lot.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. So Clowns, we're gonna start pushing subs your way, hopefully. And I actually got to look into that, because if I have mine, I'll send that way to Clowns as well. And next up, Cybernox. First of all, dude, thank you so much for being here. Love that you were a part of this program each and every Monday evening. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out your YouTube channel, which, by the way, just had a Last of Us spoiler cast that was over 3 hours.
3 hours.
Oh yeah, y'all was over there. Y'all was singing.
Oh man, it
Y'all
was
was
insane. We were going deep. It was a deep dive for sure. But yeah, man, thanks so much, Boom. I love being here. Monday evenings talking games with you guys, starting off the week right. Cybernox everywhere, guys. Just hit me up on Xbox, and I'm mostly active on Twitter. Like Boom just mentioned, I just had The Last of Us Part 2 spoiler cast with Cotton. He's been on the show a couple of times, and Ains from Seasoned Gaming. Yeah, it was a great time. Just working on another video. Talking a little bit about this digital direct from Xbox that I don't see a lot of people talking about. And so look forward to that on my YouTube channel, Cybernox, and sometimes I'll be streaming too on Twitch. So Cybernox on there too. And I can't wait for next Monday.
Well, listen, it's great to have you a part of the program. So thank you so much. And last and no way least, he's our resident assassin. And of course, the Hitman has nothing on him when it comes to kills on multiplayer, but he's also our resident MMO everything. And he talked about a game that he actually spoke about on Twitter that he cannot wait to play when it comes out later this year. do me a favor, Tempest Son, tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, team up or get assassinated by you on Xbox Live.
The gamer tag is Tempest Sun, and on Twitter I'm at the Tempest Sun. Yeah, speaking of multiplayer, I got to try Hyperscape. I got a code, and
Nice, dude.
yeah. Has anybody here ever played Tribes? The PC shooter. One was available on PS2, but it's the
Talking
first.
about Aerosol?
Was that one of them? I can't remember.
That's the latest one. I know
I
what you're
think that
talking
was
about.
that one. Yeah, okay, that one was on PS2. Yeah, but anyways, it's an old. A lot of old PC gamers will probably love that series. But anyways, that's what I think of when I play this game. Look up Tribes. It's some of the similarities are pretty fantastic. But no, yeah, Hyperscape. It is different enough from all the battle royale games out there. I think this one's, keep an eye on it. I think this one's going to have a spot. I think it's going to nudge its way in between them all, I'll be honest with you. So yeah,
Nice.
Cool.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being here. And of course, everyone, I want to thank the 500 plus people that tuned in to this very exciting and hashtag fun episode of Primetime Gaming. And I'll close out the show with something that my dad taught me. I think it's important more now than ever. And like I said, it may be getting long in the tooth for some, but it made me the man that I am today. He used to tell me, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.